Hi everybody. I thought I would come to you and show you a quick pattern that I'm working on, and this is called the Seafoam Stitch, and I'm making a scarf, and this is something that grows really quick and it's really easy to do, and it's a really nice summer stitch. And I'm using Comfey Cotton Blend, which is 50% polyester, 50% cotton. There's 7 ounces in there. It is a light 3. The suggested needle size is 4.5 a US 7. I'm actually using a 5.0 US 8. I'm using whipped cream, which you can see here is whipped cream, and the number is, I can't see that. I'll get it back up for you in a second. I'll get my glasses on. Okay, the number for this is whipped cream 098. And they're suggesting, let me see if I got that right. They're suggesting a 4.07 needle. Okay. But I'm going with a 5.0 because I want my drops to be a little more droppy, a little more drapey. Okay. So with the very first row, what you're going to do is, oh, I already did that. We're going to knit across. And our yarn is in the back when we knit. It's a very simple row. You go left to right under your stitch, left, right, wrap around, left to right, wrap around. You're just crisscrossing all you're doing. Now slow that down for a minute, fine. Into your stitch, this way, around, grabbing that loop, you're still connected and pushing off, and you knit a stitch. So row 1 is simple, and there's a lot of knitting in this. Like I said, you could switch it up and make it purl if you want to. It's not going to mess up the pattern at all. I have extra yarn over there I never got, so I'm going to grab it now. So I have 36 stitches. Your stitch count will remain the same through your pattern. You're doing a concession of knitting rows, which are like your stabilizing rows that help the stitches to really show them off. And then you're doing like 4 action rows, 2 at a time. So at one point you're working the top part of the little bubble stitches. I can show you better in the white. And then you're working the bottom part. And they kind of shape out like a really cool wave and little mosaic. And I think with this color, it just gives it a nice stained glass kind of look that I'm going for because I love that look. Okay, so you're just knitting, which is the garter stitch. What I did was a long tail cast on. There's 50 bajillion videos out there on how to do a long tail cast on. And I've shown that in other videos, so I won't show it again. But the long tail cast on, really when you do that, you've already done the first row of garter stitch, which is knit stitch. So you've already created a row, and I like to do that once that I have a little something to hang on to because those first few rows can be a little awkward. So because I did the long tail, I added a foundation row of knitting, and then I went into the pattern, which was the first row of knitting. So when I get to the end of this, I'm going to add in 2 rows of knitting before I bind off, and then it will be even on the other side of the scarf. I'll show you what I mean in a second. All right. So the more you put the knits in, the more you can show off those drop stitches there, the knit rows. we'll do that. And so will the purl rows. So on the bottom I cast on 36 stitches and then I knit a row. And then the first row was knit a row. So when I get to the very end here, you know, usually you just bind off. But because I have those extra 2 rows there, I'm going to knit 2 rows. And then it will be even. It will shape up evenly like this. This is kind of curling right now, but when I block it, it'll be fine. Okay, so row 1 was knit. I'm going to count my stitches just to make sure I'm okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. So I have 37 here, so I'm glad I counted. I'm going to put 2 stitches together somewhere in the middle here to get that right. Okay. So row 1 is knit 6 stitches. Row 2 is knit 6 stitches. So we're going to knit our first stitches, and that's the setup to the repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and now we begin the repeat, and this is where you'd see the asterisk in the pattern. You're just going to follow that asterisk to the asterisk, asterisk to the asterisk. So never mind the 6. This is just the beginning setup, okay? So you're just going to keep doing this all the way to the end. You're going to yarn over 1. You're going to knit 1. Now when I say yarn over, some people do this, and they bring it over towards them. That would be a yarn forward. So you do this to yarn forward. When it says yarn over in a pattern, you do this. You want it to go away from you. You want to take your yarn over here and put it on this right needle away from you, over. So yarn over twice now, okay? So it's like doing wraps. And we're going to knit 1. And we're going to yarn over 3 times and knit 1. Okay, now here's where you could really variegate with this pattern. You can go to yarning over 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, and then down again. And you can do whatever you wanted, and you can knit as many as you wanted, but I'm staying with the original pattern just to show it. So now we knit, we yarn over 2 times, and we knit 1. We yarn over 1 time, and we knit 6. I'll do that repeat one more time, and then I'll go off camera and finish and come back for the next row. Okay, so again, yarn over 1 time, knit 1. We yarn over 2 times, we knit 1. We try to. I do anyways. We yarn over 3 times, we knit 1. And then we go down, we yarn over 2 times, and we knit 1. We yarn over 1 time, and we knit 6. Okay, and you're going to do that all the way to the end, and I'll be right back to go to the next row with you. Okay, so welcome back, and now we're on row 3. And row 2 will feel a little tight because you've got all those yarn overs in there. So that's why you might enjoy working with a cable, more so working flat back and forth, because it's a lot to scrunch on your needles. Okay, so if you end in row 2, you should have ended on knitting 6 if you had your right stitch count. Okay, so we begin row 3 with knitting 6. Now, a better way to say this is when you're working the drop stitch, I've found just knit what you have there and drop your yarn overs, because sometimes you get off track, and it's best to just keep dropping your yarn overs. It will all shake out if you just make sure, say you knit 7 somewhere, or you knit 2 together or something. The most important thing is that you get underneath the right stitches here. And I'm going to do that right there, because I had put, sometimes if you have to straighten out your stitch count, you're putting 2 together, or you're knitting into 1, into the front and into the back. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm saying is you can really fudge with this and make it work by knitting into the front, knitting into the back of a stitch to make an extra stitch, or knitting 2 together. And all that really matters in these rows where you're dropping your yarn overs is that you're dropping them and knitting your knits. So yarn overs look like this. They're long and they don't connect anywhere. So it's drop your 1 yarn over, knit your knit. Your knit is connected. So knit, drop your 2, knit, drop your 3, knit, drop your 2, knit, drop your 1, knit. That's all you're doing. I know it seems scary to drop those off maybe, but when you push them down like this, you'll see that you just gotta kind of play with them and pull them down, and you'll see that they're all there. Okay. So then it is knit. There should be 6 here, 2, 3, 4. That's a yarn over. Nope, nope. That's 2 that I actually put together, so I'm going to fix that. I had to put a few together here and there. Okay, there's my yarn over right there. Just make sure you're knitting your knits. And if you put 2 together, look for that knot to see where they're together. And then you got 3 here. Let's drop them off. And just, some people just put them forward like this and hold them with their finger while they're knitting, just to keep them out of the way. Drop, knit, and then knit. And what I mean is some of them I put together because the yarn got a little splitty in areas because it's really soft, and I didn't want it to be a weakened area of the garment, so I put a couple together and then added in stitches later. So you kind of got to look for them, like I've got right here, and then your yarn over is right there. Right? So you got to go where your knot is, and you know. There's your yarn over, there's your yarn over. Otherwise, these will pop up. That one's really long, so I probably did something wrong there with that one, but I'll fix it. Take your yarn overs off. That one too. What's up with this? Okay, I know what I did. I dropped 2 stitches, see? So right here and here, I actually dropped my stitches. I'm going to grab them back. All right. I'm going to put them here. And I'm going to knit them. Or no, actually those are, all right. Oops. Oops. Okay. It's okay. It's all okay. Knit. I'll figure it out. knit, knit, knit. You can always straighten it out on your knit rows. So you knit your 6 to the end. I know what that was. I know what that drop stitch was. The one I put together with the other one. Alright. So I have one that's a little bit of a runaway here, but it's all okay. It's all okay. One's a little crossed over, but just straighten them out. Every now and again, if you drop stitch, it might look a little crossed over, but just straighten it out up there and then pull down, and then it's fine. Okay. So row, so it looks a little bajiggity right here, but it's not. When you pull it down, it's fine. It's fine, fine. Just gotta really work with it to, it'll bubble out eventually when you get your other knit row in here. So that was row 1, 2, and 3. Row 4 is we knit all the way across. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. So I'm good. So now row 4, all we do is we knit everything. And when you knit this row, you're going to see how much better your drop stitches will look. You can also throw in a knit purl knit row if you wanted to. Just makes it look a little nicer. So there's no hard fast rules with this pattern other than if you get a stitch that crosses over like that, you get it like I had, you just gotta straighten it out. That's all. And knit it in the next row and it'll be fine. Any of them that drop, just pick them up. And just pull down your drop stitches as you go. So this is row 4. If I was going to change color, it would be in row 5, and that would be the row you change your color in, but I'm trying to grow my white areas now. So I'm going to continue to go on and do a complete 1 through 8 here. So, okay. So row 4 is knit and row 5 is knit. So I'm going to knit all the way to the end here, and then I'm going to knit row 5, and I'll come back and meet you in row 6. Really easy, easy, easy summer knit. Easy spring, I mean, we're into the summer now, pretty much, right? Pretty soon. It's going to be 81 tomorrow. Nice. Straighten this out. I'm still going. Okay. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it was knit, and then it was yarn over row, and then it was drop our yarn overs and knit our knits row, and then knit across. Row 5. So you can see how the knit row helps those to bubble out and give it that wavy look. Just kind of gathers it together nice. So row 5 is just knit again. We just pull our drop stitches down and shape them out. They bubble out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to knit row 5, and then I'll come back for row 6 and 7. Okay, be right back. Okay, so that was row 5. where if you wanted to change color like I did down here, you could, but I'm just going to make that bigger so it matches what's in here, and then I'm going to continue on doing that and then end with these two like this. Okay, so row 6, our setup is to knit 1. So instead of knitting 6 like we did in 2 and 3, we're going to knit 1. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to knit 1. I'm going to yarn over 2 times and knit 1. Yarn over 3 times and knit 1. Yarn over 2 times and knit 1. Yarn over 1 time and knit 6. So this is very familiar, and what you're going to do in the next row is pretty familiar. It's an easy one to remember. So I'll show you the repeat again, and then I'll go off camera and finish row 6. So again, it's yarn over, knit 1. Whoops, I got it. Okay. Yarn over 2 times, knit 1. Yarn over 3 times, knit 1. Yarn over 2 times, knit 1. Yarn over 1 time, knit 6. You're just going to complete that to the end, and when you get to your last stitch after your repeats at the end of this row, you're just going to knit the last stitch. So I'll meet you back in row 7. Okay, so row 6 will be a little tight because you got all your yarn overs on there, and we're going to follow the same thing we did in row 3, whereas we're going to just knit our knits and drop off our yarns. And this is row 7, so I'm going to knit whatever we see around our needle knitted, and we're going to drop off our yarn. Okay, so that's drop 1, knit, drop 2, knit, drop 1, knit 6, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you got your yarn over there, so drop 1, knit 1, drop 2, knit 1, drop 3, knit 1, drop 1, knit 1, drop 1, knit 1, you're just following your knit your knits and drop off your yarns. That's all you're doing. Because it will change up depending on if you had to knit some together or make an extra stitch here and there. But it will still follow that floaty bubbly, wavy kind of pattern. So now there's only 8 rows, and we're knitting our knits, and we're dropping our yarn over. So 1, 2. And then, okay, and then knit, knit. Ooh. Straighten out my shoulders. I did buy, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I bought a pair of Provision glasses. I did a review of them, and I thought that I was going to be able to wear them and look down at my knitting and get right on my hands, but actually I haven't figured it out yet because it's kind of getting the very edge of my needles or all around my apartment, but not, it's just, and I'm keeping my, you have to keep your head right down like that in order to get, and I can't do that. I cannot do that at all. So I'm going to figure out a way to knit and look at those stitches from a distance without killing my shoulders or my neck. One or the other, or my eyes, right? Okay, so that's all you're doing. You're dropping your yarn overs and knitting your knits on row 7, just like we did on row 3. Okay. Now you pull them down. They're all there. Nothing's flaking out at you. If there was a big loop flaking out, you might think that you did something wrong, but you didn't. Row 8, you're just knitting, and you just knit across. Here's a chance to, if you don't have 36 stitches or 46 or whatever you cast on, you could straighten it out by either knitting 2 together or knitting into the front and the back of a stitch or making one. But I would do it more towards the center and kind of away from your actual drop stitch areas, so it looks just more symmetrical in this abstract asymmetrical pattern. I would kind of line it up so that if you had to put 2 together, it's not right over on top of your drop stitches, but off to the edge. And if you had to put 2 together, don't put them too close to the edge of your actual scarf. Work in a little bit. Just so these are my drop stitches. I wouldn't put 2 together here because you want to maintain those drop stitches to look elongated, short to long to short as they are. That's why we went up and down with number. Okay. This is row 8, and that was 1 through 8. Just knit them all. Remember, row 1 is knit, so you get a chance to even straighten out again if you got the wrong stitches. So it's a very forgiving pattern, is what I want to say. And it's one you can really work with. You can just enjoy, and it grows so fast that you get rewarded by seeing it, take on shape pretty quick. If I had this to do over again, I would probably do it all in one color. I might make a couple wraps on one color, I don't know yet. Got a couple afghans I'm working on that I really got to finish. I just felt like doing a light knit today, a light knit. I didn't feel like crocheting as much as knitting today. So I wanted to give my eyes a break from reading patterns, you know. I wanted to do something I could memorize. Okay, so that is that. And you can see by just shaping them out. Okay. That's it. So this would be the wrong side that I'm showing you here. But it's still not that bad. I mean, if you had to wear it, it's not that bad. And this would be the right side. Okay. And I'm going to keep going until, so this is 1 through 8. I'm going to keep going until I get to row 5 and then change my color. And then I'll be doing that all the way through. So that the middles are, I've got actually 4 rows here and 4 here and then 2 here and 2 here and 2 here. And then when I get to the edge, I'll do 2, 2, 2. And then those 2 rows of foundation, because there's straps here too. And all you need to do to block this, and I'm cutting my yarn as I go, and then I'm going to fasten this all in. I might make a border for it. I don't know yet. I might crochet around the border. I might do a loop-de-loop kind of treble stitch all the way around the border, or I might just pick up stitches and do a stockinette. I might go into my side stitches and do a little stockinette stitch along the side. I don't know. If I had this to do over again, what I would do different is I would add 2 side stitches in, and I would either knit those 2 side stitches or knit purl, or purl knit. Either a stockinette side would look good, or a knit, a garter side for a border. You'd have all the way along. I think that would just be nice because it's kind of a ruddy, it doesn't really make a border, it's kind of a ruddy. So, I mean, you could whip stitch all the way around it. There's tons of things you can do. I haven't decided yet what it is, but this is the pattern. Okay, I hope you enjoy making it. Thanks for joining me and have a nice day. Bye-bye.